So in this video, we're going to talk about the lungs now. We're going to start on our little model guy here, showing them together. And then I will move towards the individual models, which we only have right lungs. So I'm going to show you the left lung on here. So for the right side, we have 3 lobes on the right side. So we have the superior lobe here, then the middle lobe here, and then the inferior lobe here. So on the right side, the right lung has 3 lobes. And then if we move to the left lung, we just have 2 lobes here. So we have the superior lobe on top and then the inferior lobe below. So then now on both lungs, we have what is called an oblique fissure. So these fissures are just separating the different lobes. So over here we can see on the right lung, the oblique fissure is separating the middle lobe from the inferior lobe, and it's running more down at an angle. So that's the oblique fissure on the right lung. And then our left lung also has an oblique fissure running at the same angle, but it's separating the superior from the inferior. So the 2 lobes in the oblique fissure is only found on the left lung. And then the right lung also has the oblique fissure, but then it also includes the horizontal fissure here, which is separating the superior from the middle lobe. So horizontal fissure is only found on the right lung. So then one other thing that's only found on the left lung now is what we call your cardiac notch. So we know that the heart points towards the left. So this little area right here where the heart fits in is called your cardiac notch. So if I take off the lung here, then we can see that this little thing right here is called your cardiac notch, and then that's where the heart would fit into the lung there, which you can see if we put it back up here. So cardiac notch only on the left lung. So then now we'll move towards the individual models. So as far as these models go, we only have the right lung. So remember, we have the superior lobe, the middle lobe, and then the inferior lobe. Both lobes have the oblique fissure, which would be this one right here, but then the right lung is the only one that has the horizontal fissure going across. So then we talked about with the heart how the apex is at the bottom point, but as far as the lung goes, the apex is now at the top. So the top pointy part is called the apex. And then the bottom of the lung now is called the base. So this smooth area right here is what would sit on top of your diaphragm there. So bottom is now the base, and then the top of the lung is now the apex. So then the other area you have to know, so we talked about how there are pulmonary arteries coming into the lung and then pulmonary veins leaving the lung. And then we also talked about in the last video how the trachea is coming into the lungs here. So this whole entire area where all this stuff is entering or exiting the lung is called the hilum. So if we tagged it, we would tag the entire area, and that's called the hilum. And that is included on both the right and the left lungs. You can see where the left primary bronchi would now go into the left lung here. So then the only thing that I want to talk about now, we're going to talk about the visceral pleura, the parietal pleura, and then the pleural cavity. So there is a picture on the PowerPoint for this section that we posted that you need to know, and you can actually see them better, but I want to talk about them in the video, how they would actually be. So the visceral pleura is going to set right on top of the lung. So it's going to be just completely covering the lung. That's your visceral pleura. Parietal pleura is going to be lining the thoracic cavity, so it'd kind of be more right here. So that would be your parietal pleura. And then that little space in between is called your pleural cavity. Your pleural cavity would contain that pleural fluid. So visceral right on top of the lung, and then parietal pleura lining the cavity, and then the pleural cavity is a little area in between where the pleural fluid would be located. And then that's all for the lung.